Well, welcome everybody to the Eden Army podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pete Robertucci. I hurt my back this week, so I'm about a half a bottle deep in Woodford right now. So it should be a pretty damn entertaining show. But this is season 2, episode 3 of the podcast, and we're coming to you live from the bowels of the Eden Army whiskey cellar. So enjoy. I'm glad to be with you all tonight. A little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget the Rally Point class, February 6th through the 8th here in Daytona Beach. There's still a couple of seats available, and I think, you should grab them, make a vacation out of it. There you go. We'll put that up a little bit later also, Russ. Also, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Dan, Meta, Agnes, Fireman Ed, and the OG of the bunch, Terry, for your continued support. We certainly appreciate that. Oh, it's been a hell of a week. Eden Army or the Kick chat is blowing up. We got Will in the house. We got K Love. We got the Dorns. Hopefully you're not on the big screen because, like I said, I'm a half a bottle deep in Woodford right now, so I'm sure I'm slurring words and everything else, but that's all right. Who else? We got EA1. We got guys in the house. Rev, of course. Miss Terry. Good. So we're going to get this dude kicked off. Tonight we're going to talk about Trump in Davos, Switzerland, and how he hurt little Gavin Newsom's feelings. Also, the verdict is in for the Uvalde police officer who was in court for child neglect because he didn't respond in a timely manner to the Uvalde shooting. Communists also storm a church in Minnesota, all while ICE is amping up patrols. And the left is screaming about the Epstein files. But what about the Clintons? What do they do this week? Well, we'll tell you about it. And I promise you, when I say we might run a little bit late, you're not going to want to miss this video I have for the prep of the week. I promise you that. But first, let's get Russ in the house. Russell Sawyer, good to see you, brother.
How you been, my brother?
I've been pretty good, but I did hurt my back this week. But it's all right. Skidmore's in the house. Andrew Davis is in the house. This is awesome. Yeah. Agnes is in the house. Agnes, thank you for your resubscription. We appreciate you. What did you do this week, Russ?
Man, I've had a busy week. We've been just taking care of some health stuff, taking care of some local family, while others are out of the area. We've just been taking care of friends and family around here. And just trying to stay on top of everything, man. Everything, worried about my son. They got some pretty nasty weather coming in up there, and it's supposed to be a good bit of ice around where we're at in South Carolina. So a little concerned about that.
Yeah, and guys, that is one thing I didn't mention. Came back. Yeah, I agree. That's one thing I didn't mention was there is a storm in the middle part of the United States, and if you're not ready, you better get ready for it. No, Will, it wasn't the 10K ruck that hurt my back. I'm embarrassed to tell you I actually hurt my back, so I won't go into that. But me and Guy did additionally after that 10K ruck do a 5K ruck after that. And there are some tales to be said about that, but it was pretty good. Larry Dial, good to see you. Mr. Mercer, good to see you. Good stuff. Oh, boy. I don't know, Russ. I don't know. These podcasts, if it wasn't for the people that subscribe and this awesome tribe we have, I would have, first of all, I would have finished that bottle of Woodford.
I don't know him in the house. I haven't seen him around for a minute.
And they're packing up Kick. I mean, it's jamming over there.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with all the chat. Well, we'll do that later, guys. I mentioned that Trump was in Davos, Switzerland, for the Economic Forum, and one of the things he was trying to do is nail down this Greenland deal. Right. Well, it appears that the framework is in place now, so he's not going to levy tariffs on the European Union like he was promising, and his bluff, or it wasn't even his bluff, Russ. He never said he would take Greenland by force. All he says is all the cards are on the table. But the liberal media, what do? They ran with it. We're going to invade Greenland. Yep. No, that's not the case. But the threat of tariffs alone brought the EU to the table, and now it looks like that Greenland, there will be some type of framework involved where the U.S. has a broader presence within Greenland, right? And if you don't understand why Greenland has strategic value for the United States, then do some research on obviously its location, obviously its natural resources, and also the fact that the Chinese and the Russians were looking to get a footprint in Greenland, and we
Oh,
certainly.
absolutely. I
And
mean,
go ahead, Russ. Well, you didn't freeze up the whole time in the green room. Now he froze up. But one of the real things, one of the real reasons why it's important to have Greenland is for the Golden Dome that Trump wants to implement, right? And that's strategic because if Russia were to send missiles over Arctic, then we'd have the Golden Dome, right? What were you going to say, Russ?
no, I locked up for a minute there, and Greenland, we've had a base there for many, many, many years. It is some fairly strategic importance. And that's what people fail to understand. And, I read a couple of things about this whole Davos thing and the fact that we can do without NATO. NATO can't do without us. They say they can, but,
No, it's
history
impossible.
has proven otherwise.
Well, and Trump said as much in Switzerland. He goes, look, and I love when he does stuff like this. He goes, if it wasn't for the United States, then you'd be speaking German right now and a little bit of Japanese. But, basically we protected Greenland while World War II was going on, and we gave it back. We're like, okay, we're done. You can have it back. It has no strategic values for Denmark other than the natural resources, which they can't process anyway. So what the hell's the big deal? Let us take on their economy, because that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a welfare program if we end up taking it over. But does that outweigh the strategic value in the? I think that probably those things outweigh getting that. Let's see. Will says, let's see what he says here. Trying to reclaim strategic territory, willing to annex Cuba, and says the Cuban. That's why you just want to go back to your homeland. But no, and I could imagine after our run on Venezuela that the Cuban dictator was shitting his pants, Will. So it could happen, and it probably will. He talks about the Monroe Doctrine, or the Don Road Doctrine, as he has coined it now.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, they call it the Don Road Doctrine now. Caleb, it's interesting because what happened is the stock market took a big hit when he announced that he was going to put tariffs on the EU. And then after his Davos speech, right, it started rebounding a little bit. So, yeah, you're right. And it's all a knee-jerk reaction with the market. Kelly, that's funny, Kelly. NATO needs American Treasury output. 100% correct. So let's run this clip, Russ. I'll run this clip real quick on Gavin Newsom and how his feelings are a little bit hurt.
At 11, Governor Newsom says he was denied entry to a fireside chat he had scheduled for this morning in Davos, Switzerland, claiming this happened after pressure from the White House. Davos is where global leaders are gathering right now for the World Economic Forum. And this is a post from the governor's office that alleges that USA House, which is a church acting as the official U.S. pavilion for members of the delegation, was set to host the chat earlier this morning, but instead denied him entry. Newsom blaming the White House and State Department for the canceled interview with Fortune. This comes just a day after Governor Newsom told European leaders to stand up to President Trump. And we did reach out to the White House for comment. They sent us a statement saying, quote, "No one in Davos knows who third-rate Governor Newsom is or why he is frolicking around Switzerland instead of fixing the many problems he created in California," end quote. This is a developing story.
White House, they are the masters at trolling, right? It's amazing. But guys, what do you think? Tell me in chat, what do you think? And Russ, you can chime in on this also. What do you think about the governor of California, basically a failed state, a bankrupt state, going in front of a world forum? What was his goal there? What do you think his goal was there?
I think his goal was to get his name out as a person that can handle world politics. Well, the problem is he can't even handle state politics. He can't even handle city politics, because look how screwed up San Francisco was after he was mayor for Mitt. And now look how screwed up California is. And ultimately, possibly the U.S., I don't see that happening. But yeah, and Rev, I'll agree with you. To show them that he's a retard. There goes now we're off TikTok.
So here's what I think, and Caleb, you're right. He's a commie, right? First of all, I believe it's a treasonous act. I mean, he went to undermine the sitting president, the most powerful man in the world. He went to undermine what he was doing, what he was doing is he wanted to get face to face. President Trump wanted to get face to face with the European Union and ink this deal for Greenland. That's what he wanted to do. And Gavin Newsom went to undermine that. It's a treasonous act, guys. This guy is straight up communist. Now, I understand he's the pretty boy. He's going to be the face of the Democratic Party. And really, he's the only one, because if you go any other person, then they're straight up socialist, right? So he's the only one that fits the profile of somewhat middle ground, even though his policies are socialist and communist. So,
yeah, definitely treasonous act, man. Just, they talk about it in relationships. You can argue together in private with your spouse or with your partner or whoever, but you always show a united front in public.
You have to, right? Right. You always praise in public and you criticize in private. That's what you always learn. That's business 101. And I think, Caleb, you're the only woman to ever admit that. Now, all of them believe it, but they never really admit that.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Rev, you're right. He wanted the grandstand. He wanted to put his face out there. Russ, you're just locking up. That's why I'm jumping in here. He wanted the grandstand. He wanted to put his face out there as a face of the Democratic Party, and basically wanted to tell the European Union that, look, once I get elected, stand behind me, because once I get elected, everything's going to go back to normal. We're going to keep paying your bills. We're going to keep sending you money. Don't worry. We're going to share the wealth, right? But he was shut down, and the White House did a hell of a job calling him out on it, I think.
Well, and going back to, he was not a part of the official delegation of the U.S. Okay? He has no right to be into that church, that area.
No.
I'm sorry, you're not part of the delegation. Have a nice life. I hope you enjoyed your flight at your taxpayers' money.
Yeah, we'll see you in 3 years, right? When you're getting mutilated by J.D. Vance on the campaign trail. And you're right, Rev. You're right. This is what it's all about. And you talk about foreign influence in our elections. This is 100% what this is all about. Let me show my face. Let me tell these people in private that once we get rid of the orange man, that things are going to go back to normal. We're going to continue to siphon money out of the taxpayers' pockets and send it to you guys, because you're basically a welfare state, right? I mean, the European Union, for all intents and purposes, now has become a welfare state. Yeah. And it's at our behest.
Yeah, I saw a statistic that Louisiana, which is one of the poorest states per capita in the U.S., their wealth is actually more than 90% of the European nations.
Yeah, right, because they're actually doing stuff. They produce stuff where the European nation, for the most part, doesn't really produce anything. And anything they produce, we just buy from them out of pure pity. And not to mention, we supplement their military by protecting them over there. And the European Union said if Trump took Greenland, if the United States took Greenland, it would be the end of NATO. Okay, go ahead. See ya. that's how many billions of dollars a year we don't have to spend. I'm good with that. Today also, Russ, I don't have it on the agenda, but today also we pulled out of the World Health Organization. We're no longer a part of the World Health Organization, rightfully so, for two reasons. First of all, was the COVID fiasco. Secondly, was how many terrorists have infiltrated the World Health Organization, and that's shown. Well, it should have been shown in Gaza, where many of the volunteers were actually Hamas members. So screw the World Health Organization. We don't need to send them any money either. So Patrick 7 made it in the house. Let's see here. I'm in agreement. We need to pull out of NATO. I agree. We need to pull out of NATO. Let them fend for themselves. Finally, they're actually starting to spend a little bit of their GDP supplementing what we have to put in. So that's good stuff. Who's on first? So good stuff. I also mentioned, Russ, that it was a while ago when I found out, we'll talk about stateside stuff now, when we found out about the police officer in Uvalde, Texas, that was brought under charges for child neglect and child abandonment because he failed to respond to the mass shooting in the school there. I said then that law enforcement is under no obligation to risk their lives for you. That's a SCOTUS ruling, all right? That's a Supreme Court ruling. That's not Pete's opinion. That's a Supreme Court ruling. They're under no obligation to risk their life for you. And the only way he ever could have been charged would be due to gross negligence. And it's very hard for prosecutors to prove gross negligence, especially when SCOTUS has ruled that he's under no obligation to risk his life for you. So there was a ruling that came back today or yesterday, and let's run that little piece of work. And I want to know what y'all's opinion is on this, what you think he should have done. I'm not talking about, look, we all know we have a moral code, right? He took the job. He knows what's entailed in the job. But honestly, what do you think your opinion is? Should he went in? Should he not have went in? And first of all, should he have been charged if he didn't go in? But let's run this clip.
In the trial of a former Uvalde, Texas police officer, Adrian Gonzalez was just found moments ago not guilty on charges of child abandonment and endangerment. You can see him there appearing to be very emotional, hugging. Now, he was one of the first officers to arrive on scene at Robb Elementary during the 2022 shooting that left 19 students and 2 teachers dead. That verdict was just read. And let's get right to NBC's Priscilla Thompson, who's there in Texas following this story. A stunning moment, Priscilla.
Yeah, Liz, stunning indeed, and a very emotional moment for Adrian Gonzalez. As soon as that not guilty was read, you saw him put his head down. He looked visibly emotional, and you saw that emotion continuing as people came up and began to hug him, and he stood. And this is the end. After 2 weeks of testimony from survivors, from fellow law enforcement who were on the scene with him, this jury coming back after more than 7 hours, or about 7 hours of deliberation, just over 7 hours, saying not guilty on all 29 counts of child endangerment.
Yeah, so they have him not guilty in child endangerment. Now, Will's already chiming in, which it's a great opinion. He's less than a wimpy man. I get you. I understand where you would think that. But from a legality standpoint, from a legal aspect, should he have been charged with child abandonment, child neglect? I don't know. Well, I do know because SCOTUS ruled on that, Russ, right?
Yep. And, Reb brings up a good point. He made a decision, and it's a decision that whether or not he was found guilty or not in a court of law, SCOTUS has ruled, he's still going to have to live with that decision that he's made, and that's between him and his maker.
Right. Well,
and until you're put in that situation, you never know how you're going to react.
Yeah, we'd all like to think that we're going to run in and be Rambo and save the day, right? But until you're actually sitting in those shoes, standing in those shoes, I don't know how you would actually react to it. But like I said, to the only way he would have been able to be charged was for gross negligence. And if you look at the legalities to prove gross negligence, it would be almost impossible to prove that. So, and the other thing, guys, the other thing we need to hold into account is what were the standard operating procedures of the department? What were the SOPs? Okay, was he, and this never came out in court to my knowledge, but was he, per his SOPs, his guidelines, was he supposed to wait until he had backup? What was the SOP for his particular department? I don't know that. I know here locally, the SOPs are the first man goes in. You go in. You save lives, right? But I don't know how it was in Uvalde, and I can understand the parents of the victims being upset about it, but I think from a legal aspect, I don't know how they could have charged them with it. They failed to prove their case, Russ. They failed to prove their case.
Yeah, and that's what it boils down to. They failed to prove their case. Speaking of cases, and this wasn't on the agenda, but it kind of goes along with it. Did you see the video of the former female MMA fighter this man attempted to rob her, and she hit him once, and he lost an eye because of it.
Oh,
yeah. And so his family has trying to sue her for him, a bad guy, committing a crime on her, and she protected herself. And I mean, she freaking he lost an eye. And, and that's a game, so somebody loses an eye. Point in fact.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why Florida has the castle doctrine, right? Because someone breaks in your house, you shoot them, and they live, and next thing you know, they're suing you. Well, they had to actually come up with a law to say, no, that's not the case. You have no obligation to retreat. It's your domicile. You have no obligation to retreat. There was a message up here that Caleb, I know this is true because I've seen you training, young lady. So I know you'd have went in and done some business. And Griff's in the house.
Yep, and Griff made a good point there too. SOPs are only as good as the person or people or administration that writes them. Being in the military, we had SOPs for damn near everything, and a lot of them didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it was CYA more than a SOP. Right. And that's where the issue lies with SOPs. They're trying to cover their ass but it ends up hamstringing the officer or, stuff like that.
It's a good point. And here's something we don't think about is if he were to violate the SOPs and he got hurt, if he were to violate, then the department, I'm telling you, I know how local municipalities work. The department would have said, oh, this guy failed. He failed to follow the SOPs. I'm sorry, he got shot and killed. You as his wife are now no longer getting his pension because he didn't follow the SOPs. That's what they do, right? So look, this is a job for them, and ultimately they want to get back to their families and they want to protect their families, whether it be financially or whatever. So that all could be playing on his mind. I don't know. Wasn't there. I'd like to think that I would have went in and cleared the whole school and killed everybody and walked out like a pimp with a cigar in my mouth and a bourbon. But I don't know. I don't know how I would have reacted to that. So I'm not going to blame this man. So I don't know. I agree. Troy's Gate training. That really puts you pretty close. If you take that training seriously, it puts you pretty close into that environment, especially from a mental standpoint, right? Let's see. I'm just reading through chat, guys, before I go on to the next story.
There's a ton of stuff going on in chat.
I know, boys. The kick is blowing up. You guys are madmen. We Paulie's not here tonight, but when Paul first came on to the podcast, he's like, I can't believe.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, you're froze up. He goes, I can't believe how wild your people are in chat. I'm like, oh, you sit around the campfire with them, then then you'll understand. Let's see. Fireman Ed says we need to stop sending money anywhere for a few years. Yeah, but even with the humanitarian aid, that's being siphoned out of also because you have these NGOs that are claiming they're performing humanitarian aid, and next thing you know, there's a Leering Center in fucking Minnesota.
Exactly.
Bullshit. Great point. And that's what Troy's Gate teaches you, right? Listen, you had to react because of what that person did, or you had to fail to react because of what that person did. It's on him, not you. Rev, you know I'm calling you wild. So good points. So there's a couple things, Russ, that really stick in my craw, that really get me fired up. And the first thing is violence on firefighters, like when the BLM riots and they were going to try to save some kids and a family from a burning building, and the BLM protesters held them up from responding. That type of thing fires me up. The other thing that fires me up is going into a place of worship and disrupting them. I mean, I don't care. Look, I'm not a Muslim, but never in my wildest dreams would I go into a mosque and tell all those people they're going to hell. I would never do that, right? That's their place of worship, and it's protected by law where you can't do that. So I'm going to run this, and this is the communist left, right? They talk about Trump being a fascist and MAGA being fascist. This is right out of the fascist playbook right here. This is what they do.
Why are you not standing up with your Latino and Somali community? The devil.
I mean, what a scene. Did you ever think you would see anything like this in the United States of America? Rapper Nicki Minaj posted this image that appears to show a family inside the church. You can see they're comforting this little boy who no doubt was frightened about what was going on in the place where he and his family go to pray on a Sunday morning. So the DOJ is vowing to pursue federal charges in this case, and there are a number of federal statutes that support the prevention of obstructing a church service. Podcast host Michelle Tafoya has lived in Minnesota for 30 years, and she has some very strong thoughts on what is playing out there. So we'll be with Michelle in just a moment, but first let's go to senior correspondent Steve Harrigan, who is live on the ground in Minneapolis. Hi, Steve.
Martha, a couple hundred people out here again out in front of the federal building, and as we can see, as they're shouting at federal agents who come in and out here, they are expanding their range, moving beyond the federal building, going to stores now, and going to a place of worship as well. We can see several dozen people on Sunday entering that St. Paul church shouting, "ICE out, ICE out." Here's what one of those protesters had to say.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? You got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly.
So those people went to church, got screamed at, got asked why they're not standing out here in front of this federal building with about 200 people screaming and swearing at federal officers. Now, we've had just the first response from the governor to that. Through a spokesperson, he issued a statement saying he does not support interruptions in a house of worship. So a very weak response from the governor as far as that goes. He has also mobilized the National Guard. He hasn't deployed them yet. If they are deployed, they will be wearing yellow vests to separate them from other federal agents.
Yeah, there you go, guys. And like I said, there's very little things that fire me up more than disrupting a place of worship. Well, you're almost right. There were actually 3 people arrested, 2 females that were black that were part of the actual original BLM movement, by the way, and 1 other man who I don't know what his background was in particular, but 3 people arrested. But no, Don Lemon was not arrested, nor was he charged, because a liberal judge in Minnesota said that the DOJ was not allowed to charge him for those acts, and I'm assuming it's because they're going to claim he was a journalist at the time. But
well, yeah, there's a fine line there, and he crossed it, and they have it on video that he crossed it. And, there's several, things that you think about, and a lot of it was mentioned over in the comments. Where was the church security team? Number one, there shouldn't be a need for a church security team, but there is. Where were they? One of the individuals, I believe it might have been one of the ones arrested, don't quote me. He goes by something Farmer, and he claims to be a veteran warrant officer, but it's a lot of stolen valor in that, evidently. Some of the stuff that I've read on it today, he got a big chicken dinner, bad conduct discharge for theft. His credibility with me is absolute shit. As far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I heard the same things. I haven't been able to research it enough to comment on it. But where was security? I don't know. How well trained were they? I know we have trained down here in Florida. We've trained a bunch of safe teams, security teams for churches, and we teach them, much like Patrick, you said over there in chat. We teach them to, first of all, try to usher them out like a bouncer would at a bar, right? So that's kind of the way we handle that, unless it gets escalated. Look, guys, and I know you said why do we need security? Because we're Christians. And right now we have a bullseye on our back all over the world, and unfortunately, it's increasing in popularity right now in the United States to bash Christians, especially if you're a white male married Christian. You're going to get bashed.
Absolutely,
it is what it is. But so need a security team. You need to be properly trained. For you Minnesota folks that run a security or run a church, fly your people down here and we'll get you trained up. I promise.
Absolutely. Our pastor back home, he open carries in the pulpit, and he trains at the distance from the pulpit to the door. That's what he trains. That's his shooting distance that he trains at. And Sandra over there, a lot of people, more people carry in church than you think. I will lay money that more women carry in the church I go to than men.
Well, I would say here in your state and my state, they won't do that in our states, right? Because we're just different. Look, they're not; those other states aren't like us, right? It's like that that song that Kendrick sang at the Super Bowl. They're not like us. But so they won't do that here in Florida or South Carolina.
Or who was it? Somebody mentioned Alabama, a redneck church in Alabama. Yeah, they're not going to do that. They did that once down in, was it Texas or Alabama, and the guy ended up getting shot.
Yeah, got smoked. Yeah, just like they won't block intersections here in Daytona Beach, Florida. They're not going to do that because we have the green light always. So that's just the way it is.
To run them over.
Yeah, well, because you're in fear for your life. That's the only reason. Speaking about running people over, that brings me to my next topic, where ICE actually had a little bit of a confrontation with people who claimed they were journalists during a raid for an illegal alien that was actually a pedophile. So I'm going to run that clip and tell me what you guys think. Is this ICE agent on track here? I respect him for what he did, and I really like the way he ended the conversation.
Second reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, we're not. No, we're press. No, we're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
And trust me, I understand. And that's good.
That's what we're doing. My word's not for you. My word is not for you. I don't have to do it. It's insane.
So I agree with Will. I think he handled it very well. I think I think it's an eye opener. Now, of course, they won't play that on liberal news, right? They will only say that ICE was arresting an illegal immigrant with no warrant, and they went into his house, which is actually the headlines I saw. So no, I think he handled it well. But this is their heroes. This is the people they hold in high regard, right? The George Floyds of the world, the Renee Goods, the people that are obstructing justice, the people that are ODing on fentanyl. These are the people they want to build statues for, instead of just keeping the American people safe.
Exactly.
Is that too much to ask?
I mean, you have, like, I saw an interview with JD Vance. Vance was asked, what about these ICE agents that apprehended this 5-year-old child? And his answer was, okay, the father, went through the whole spiel of what was the deal, and they took this child and got him out of the cold. That's not apprehension.
No.
They're all about the spin. Anything that can make Orange Man or the Republicans look bad, that's all they're about.
100%. Just typing in chat real here, guys. Don't forget to start prepping your posts or your prep of the week.
We have one.
I saw it. I got it pinned. You got it pinned up there.
I did.
One of the Hmong dudes they hauled away was found out to be innocent. Yeah, found out to be innocent. That didn't mean that they sent him. So if you want to talk about due process, they aren't getting due process. They found out he was innocent. They didn't ship him back overseas.
And the only reason they apprehended him was because he refused to identify himself, provide any identification to make sure that he was not the person they were looking for.
Yeah. Look, you go through the motions, guys. I would rather be hindered by ICE driving down 95 and say, your last name's Robertucci, you're here illegally from Italy. No, I'm not. But look, I get it. You guys are doing your job. I'll go through the motions. I'll prove my innocence, even though I don't have to, and it'll be a done deal. If that takes one pedophile off the street that's illegal, I'm good with that. That's where we differ from the lunatics on the left right there. We understand that it's a process, but overall, it's going to help society in general. Yeah, Patrick, that's exactly what Russ said, right? You identify yourself. Look, my name is Pete Robertucci.
Here's my ID.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Fireman Nate, good to see you in the house.
Couple
brother.
more for the week.
Yep, saw those come in. The other thing that the liberals are hot on, they're just constantly, because they've got nothing else to say. They've got no plan to actually show. So these leftists on social media, whenever any senator from Florida actually posts something, the first thing you see, what about the Epstein files? What about the Epstein files? Let loose the Epstein files. Well, guys, we had a chance to get to the bottom of some very crucial stuff in regards to the Epstein files. We had both Hillary and Bill Clinton set to testify within Congress, and they decided not to show up. So there's a bipartisan vote here this week that says, no, we need to hold them in contempt. And bipartisan, that means that some of those people on the left had to cross the aisle, right? So look, you either want to be for the victims of the Epstein files, or you just want to say Orange Man is bad and we only hope that he diddled some little kid, which there's no evidence that he did. So this is a news clip for that, which chaps my ass too.
Let's bring it back here to Washington with some interesting political news today, with lawmakers on the Hill voting to hold the Clintons, the former president, the former first lady, the former secretary of state, in contempt.
Let me stop that real quick. And this is from NBC, I think, right? Let's look at the way she reports this. Just listen to her mannerisms and look at the way she's reporting this. This is a failure to answer a subpoena to Congress. And look at the way this person reports on it. Going back to it.
Let's bring it back here to Washington with some interesting political news today, with lawmakers on the Hill voting to hold the Clintons, the former president, the former first lady, the former secretary of state, in contempt of Congress over their refusal to testify into this Republican-led investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Why does this matter? Because this opens the door for the House to use one of its most powerful punishments against a former president. That's new. We haven't seen that before. It could also maybe, possibly, perhaps give the DOJ the green light to prosecute the Clintons. Now, both of the Clintons skipped their scheduled depositions on the Hill last week. They argued that the subpoenas handed down to them don't actually hold any legal water. But But the top Republican leading this charge, as you are probably not surprised to hear, disagrees.
The Clintons' testimony is critical to understanding Epstein's sex trafficking network and the ways he sought to curry favor and influence to shield himself from scrutiny.
Remember, former President Clinton was seen in multiple pictures in the first batch of Epstein files released by the DOJ in December. Neither Clinton has been accused of any wrongdoing related to Epstein.
Was it just me, or did that seem like a skewed report? She says, "Oh, this is never heard of." You mean it's never been done that the DOJ actually went after a former president? That's never been done? Because I seem to remember the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago and going through President Trump's wife's underwear drawer. I seem to remember that.
And speaking of, did you catch any of the congressional hearing today in regards to said AG guy?
I didn't. Melissa,
man,
yeah,
they
Melissa had
him.
that on, and I was like, I don't want to. Look, I'm fired up enough for tonight's podcast.
Awesome.
I don't want to. Don't get me going. Yeah, but guys, look, you want to get to the bottom of it? You want to get to the bottom of Epstein? Let's get to the bottom of someone who's been on 27 Epstein flights and had 30 plus. Epstein had 30 plus visits to the White House while Bill Clinton was in office. You want to get to the bottom of it, stupid liberals? You want to get to the bottom of it? Maybe you should ask the guy who was flying around with him. Maybe you should ask the guy who clearly is in a hot tub. First of all, and Melissa, if there's ever a picture of me in a hot tub looking like that, I'm up to no good. I'm telling you right now. I'm up to no good. I should never be lounged in a hot tub without my wife there like that. So if there's ever, look, Eden Army, the tribe, if you ever catch me in a hot tub like that, Rev, snatch me out of there and say, Pete, stop it. You're a married man. That's the way it is, right?
Well,
a true story.
And exactly. And on top of that, one of the questions in regards to all this Epstein stuff that was asked during some of the congressional hearings was, why didn't you do anything about it when you were in charge?
So look, Russ, they had 4 years. If there was a shred of evidence that implicated Trump, a shred of evidence, they would have brought it all. It would have been on every news channel in the world. There's no evidence. There's no evidence, guys. So I don't know. But every time, it just chaps my ass that every time I see some of the senators here from Florida post something about what's going on in Washington, the liberals come out of the woodwork, right? They're just constantly saying, "Oh, what about the Epstein files?" Shut up. We had a chance to get to probably one of the biggest, besides Hollywood, one of the biggest pieces of the Epstein files when Hillary and Bill had a chance to go testify in front of Congress, and they didn't. So, not a fan. And Nicki Minaj went ahead and back on the other thing. Nicki Minaj with the church thing actually showed a picture of children inside of that church crying and stuff like that. Look, the left is crazy. They're psychopaths.
Did you see her music video?
No, I did not.
Lemon? Oh my goodness! Well, you got to go look that up. It is hilarious. She calls Don Lemon out. She definitely calls him out. It's hilarious.
Thank you, Battle Gnome, for that. We appreciate that. Every little bit helps. Yeah, I'm with you, Sandra. I'm with you. I'm tired of hearing about Epstein. Look, you had 4 years to prove the Orange Man was some kind of weird pedophile or something. They couldn't do it. And now liberal judges are stopping all the files from coming out on Epstein. So I really don't want to hear it from leftists about Epstein. As soon as they say something about Epstein, I immediately turn them off and I just consider them a pack of retards.
Now, Patrick brought up something, and I saw this. I don't know if you did or not. It was on one of the CNN talk shows.
Sorry, I think I hit something at the same time.
There we go. One of the CNN talk shows, and this guy was one of the Parkland victims, and he claimed that Trump was personally involved. And the sole Republican voice on the show looked to the CNN host and said, "You gonna let him get away with that?" He basically saved CNN a whole bunch of money by making them tell the guy no. And then the guy recanted. He came back out on X later and recanted his statement and said, "No, I didn't mean it to say it that way, blah, blah, blah." So somebody got a phone call on that one, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, and CNN needs to come out and they vet their people they're interviewing, right? It's insane. I'm just reading through chat here. Good stuff. Guys, you are not going to want to miss the prep of the week video I have, but I'm going to go through this first real quick, Russ. All right, I'm going to go big screen here here is my prep of the week, guys. Amongst other things, I went and bought sorry, the green screen's kind of screwing it up, but I went and bought a chest rig for my hiking. So I tried that out on a hike me and Guy did. It was a 5K, so it was a 6-mile hike, right? It was a 6-mile hike. I tried that dude out, $30 on Amazon. I freaking loved it. I loved it. Yeah, that's the camouflage, Patrick. That's how good I am. They sent that to me. The Chinese sent it to me, and it actually is built like that, so you can't see me. I'm like a ninja. But so chest rig, I tried that out. I liked it. I never liked chest rigs before of that style. I mean, I have one for magazines and stuff like that, but that is a game changer. I loved it. I could put it on in front of my backpack, and it worked out really good. But we did do a great hike. Me and Guy came across some interesting things that we didn't expect to find in the woods. But that's for another story. Griff, that's funny as shit. Timu Ninja, he says. It's all about the angles. My antenna is not that small. It's just it's the angles.
Hey, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. It didn't work on your antenna. It didn't work on your antenna.
Kelly said he filled up 7 gas cans for us, and recently windowed neighbor and the prep. Perfect. Good, guys, get ready. It's coming. Maybe it'll be nothing, but like Patrick said, there are pine trees exploding. So I did not have that on my bingo list. Pine trees exploding. Nope. Fireman Ed says he picked up another radio and more off-road recovery gear for the Jeep. Outstanding. What else? I'm looking at that Radtel radio. That's a tri-band that actually does CB also. I'm considering that. I'm not 100% sold on it, but Joe Dolio is going to look into it and tell me if it's worth it. This is me and Guy did this weekend. Did a hike. We did pretty good on our hike, actually. We plotted out our points as we were going, and we made one mistake, which was a great learning curve for us. And but at the end of the day, our path looked exactly like what the GPS showed. -1 or 2, and I think we ended up being 25, which is kind of a lot, but we ended up being 25 meters off based on the grid as opposed to what we.
Well,
that's not horrible.
No, 25 meters. You can see 25 meters
Exactly.
For the most part. Now speaking of 25 meters, you mentioned something to me the other day when we were over there about declination.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mention that last week. You might want to mention that because that's something that's kind of important.
Yeah, guys. The I downloaded the new maps. Look, I cut myself on my new knife I built.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. What I didn't know, but prior to my hike though, is that I downloaded CalTapo maps for me and Guy's hike, and the declination actually changed almost a half a degree from the last time I had printed out maps. So there was definitely a shift in declination, which is the true magnetic north as opposed to what's on. But anyway, long and short, doesn't matter. If you need to update your maps, now's probably the time to do it because there was a shift in the declination.
Well.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe that's something that we'll do a quick tutorial on. But Stoker-Matic on YouTube probably teaches one of the best land nav classes, so look him up. I shared something on one of my social media posts to check that guy out. But I'm an idiot, and he was able to explain it to me, so he must be pretty damn good. Will says for the first time in a while he has no preps, although he did help others with their preparing. That's a prep, my friend. I like it.
Prep.
Let's see, Patrick 7. Let's see what your prep of the week is. I got 2 more normal looking level backpacks. Good. And turn them into go bags with 3 days worth of supplies and a few $100 in each, and some self-protection devices. Outstanding, Patrick. Good job, buddy. And I did a video this week. Was it this week or last week? where when I started doing this whole podcast thing, I was telling people, look, it's time to buy silver. You know, it's a great thing right now to buy silver. It's 14 or $16 an ounce. Guys, it's almost $100 an ounce right now. So look, when I don't know a lot of stuff, but I know a little bit. If I tell you to buy silver, buy silver. Miss Terry, getting ready to storm, good. Charging batteries, perfect. Moving chainsaw and snowblower, and making extra bread, absolutely perfect. Um,
That's a very good point, Miss Terry. Moving the chainsaw and snowblower to the house to where you can get to it easier than out in the shed, that's going to be under 2 feet of snow and ice, or however much you end up getting. You run the risk of breaking something if you slip and fall on the ice. Because it's the snow, you're going to be fine, but it's the ice underneath and the freezing and refreezing and thawing that's going to cause all that ice to be there.
Agreed. Guy says he worked on Chrissy's car and got some more freedom seeds in the bag. Absolutely perfect. Let's see what else we got. Bullshite. Prep of the week inventoried some food preps. Perfect. Let's see what Fib says here. Should the wife and our son had a plan for getting home? Critical. Good job from school. And how about a rally point? Should you not be able to contact them? Where can you meet them at if you trigger a shit hit the fan scenario, right? And now we have her route planned and scouted. Perfect. Family emergency action plan per Nick Meacher, I am sure, who's in the house. Go ahead, Russ.
And one thing in regards to that, guys, take those routes, vary your routes. That goes back to anti-terrorism, force protection, especially when you're overseas, vary those routes. If you live in an area where there's a lot of bad things happening, Michigan, Minnesota, big cities, stuff like that, vary those routes. Be unpredictable. It will help you in the long run. It may cut down on your time that okay, I have it down. I can get to my work in 15 minutes. You know what? If it takes you 20 and you get there a little safer, take the 20, guys.
Yeah, I'm mapping out a route right now through the woods. Me and Guy are actually gonna. I don't know if Guy knows this or not. If I told him, we're actually gonna hike this hike. But I've mapped it out. We're gonna go through the woods to get from our location to where we intend to be should crap hit the fan, right? Rev says he's counting freedom seeds. Like it. Went to a chiropractor for his back. I went yesterday, Rev, and I'm going tomorrow because I wrecked my back. And back to rucking in a couple of weeks. Good. Well, come and spend a weekend with us. Let's go hide in the woods. Larry Dial put together a comms plan. Perfect. Programmed it for his brother-in-law so we can communicate if necessary. Excellent. Good deal. I need to get into K-Love. I will put a link on it's just a cheap Amazon chest rig, but I will definitely put that on my social medias in the Eden Army social media platforms. What is this? Sandra says, oops, sorry. Made and canned almond bread. You know what? Me and Melissa tried to do the bake in the oven bread in cans, and I don't think it came out very well. So if you got any pointers for me, shoot me a DM and tell me, because we tried to do it, Russ. We tried to do it right in the ball jars where we just put everything in there and then bake them right in that and then seal them. But it really didn't come out very good. So she might need a little help.
Yeah, she did add, and I'm gonna pop it up on the screen. If you can bread, put bread in jar while hot. Okay.
And then it seals itself when it cools down, I would assume, would be my guess. This is probably the best prep of the week. Going back, and I feel you because I am part of this problem here myself. Man Crush Monday, he lost enough weight so we can actually see his antenna again. That's awesome.
Well, as far as for me, living in a camper away from home, prepping is not very advantageous because of space. But, and I got permission from the missus. we got some good news from her health standpoint in regards to her health. You know, a lot of you know she had been having some issues. We have ruled out the heart to the best of my knowledge. Stress test came back fine, EKGs, echoes, all that 9 yards. Everything's come back clean. Now we got to figure out what is going on, but at least we know her heart is strong. So
Perfect. That's good news.
And she will be out training with Rosin February 6th through 8th, and she's going to get a workout. So we'll figure out how well it works.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably going to be a bit warm then. I don't know. Maybe a cold front will come through. Caleb, I heard rumors of such a thing. Give me a call. Let's see what else. Bake bread first and then put it in the jar. See, we tried to bake it in the jar. Miss Melissa will tell me if I'm wrong here, and it didn't. I think we tried banana bread or something. It didn't work out too good. So good stuff. Let's see here. All right, guys, listen. I do have something, a little added value. It's going to probably make us run a couple minutes long, but I promise you, you're not going to want to miss this. This is another prep of the week that we did. EA1 did, as well as Miss Tooch and Tiny Tooch had a part in this also. I tried to compile it to the best way I could, but I'm no audio visual guy, and I can only work with what the actors give me. So with that said, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, because here's another prep of the week.
Hi, Christy and Melissa here. We are going to go ahead and can some butter because Brianna decided that she's got to have a lot of butter when stuff goes down. So we need to have a big stockpile of butter that lasts forever. So Publix had a big sale on butter. This is the salted sweet cream butter. We have 44 sticks here. So Christy is nice enough to help me unwrap 44, and then we're gonna melt them and we're gonna can them. So we'll take you through the process. We have the jars in the oven right now at 250. They're gonna warm up for 20 minutes at 250 in the oven. We have 10 pint jars and 4 quarter-pint jars. These 44 sticks should fill all of those jars. We needed the quart pint because Peter said he wanted to go hiking with butter next time, so he wanted the little quart jars, and that's what they look like here, the little quart jars. We're gonna do those, the quarter pint. So we're gonna unwrap these, and then we'll get back to you. 44 sticks of butter. For Brianna Robertucci. You made a good point. Brianna has her priorities.
I love her priorities because butter is life. So good.
It's 44 sticks of butter melted. You don't want it boiling, we just want it heated. Don't stir it up. Stir it up a little, but don't really stir it aggressively, so you can tell that everything is melted in here. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the jars. So now we're gonna fill the jars.
Oh, yeah. Liquid gold.
Yep. So hot butter into hot jars. The jars were in the oven 250 for 20 minutes. So
what's our
hot to
headspace?
hot, about an inch headspace.
So
you want to probably hit the first ring.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I imagine you try to work fast.
That's good there.
So
yep.
the jars stay warm?
Yep. And then as she's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and clean the rims with vinegar because you want the rims good and clean.
And when I took your class before too, we don't use the same towel to wipe every rim.
Correct.
Because then we're gonna transfer the oils.
Yep.
That's what makes it not seal, right? The
Correct.
oils?
Yep.
Try to pay attention.
Good job, yeah. I don't know if I had to boil the lids. I do that with pressure canning, but I didn't think that it would hurt. It would probably help them seal better.
Yeah, it softens the seal, plus it sterilizes them.
Yep.
We don't want any funk in there.
go ahead and seal it pretty tight. Good. We have a few more jars to finish wiping off the lids with the vinegar, cleaning them off and putting the lids on. But I just wanted to show you, here's a jar, and you can kind of see how it's separated while it's still warm. So what we're going to do is, just as it's cooling, we're going to take it and kind of rotate it around, swish it around, and so that it mixes up while it's cooling.
And that'll keep it from separated.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, that's what they say. We haven't done this before.
Yeah. But it makes sense though.
And then you can check and make sure they seal. They'll seal as everything cools down. The can should go ahead and seal on their own.
So we ought to start hearing ping then.
We should start hearing ping. And that's it. There's Brianna's butter. And if they don't seal, she's got to eat all this butter in a week. This is we did this last night. Today is the day. We're going to check these. As you can see, the butter is solidified. It's nice and solid. We're going to take the ring off and then check and make sure they're sealed. So I just kind of lift them up, make sure that it's sealed tight. And then what I do is I take white vinegar, clean it good all the way around. And then we're going to go ahead and put the date on it. And this can set on a shelf in a nice, cool, dry place. And it'll be good. They say 5 years. I wanted to show you, I think this one did not seal. So I wanted to show you what that looks like. Oh, maybe it did seal. I thought these are the small ones that we did for Peter, so he can take in his backpack. Let's check these. I felt like one of them did not seal, but maybe they did. They might have sealed after I went to bed. These took a really long time to seal. And they're all sealed. So I'm gonna clean all these off. This is 44 sticks of butter right here. And butter is canned.
Not one person commented on the title.
Nope.
I thought you guys' mind was in a gutter more than I'm just going to run a couple of seconds.
Hi, Christy.
Nothing from anybody. All right, forget it. Yeah, good job, guys. You nailed it.
That was a very good video.
I will put that on social media tomorrow. I just wanted to make sure Griff got it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw it first. There were 10. There were many jars. Yeah, that's true.
No, Patrick did have a question.
Yeah.
He says, might have missed it, but you just let them air cool.
Just let them air cool. Yeah, it's not a pressure canning process per se. You basically just because of the hot air inside of the jars themselves, as they cool, lowers the pressure back inside the jar and it seals them. And look, first of all, go by FDA guidelines, blah 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 blah, all that shit, right? But we've eaten butter like that's been shelf stable in my garage for 5 years, so it's not a problem at all. So yeah, you just leave them on the counter. That was good stuff.
That should last Tiny, 2 weeks?
Well, it all depends if she makes me go buy a bunch of crab legs next week, and then now she's slathering it all over herself. Somebody did mention that Guy and Christy took a couple jars home, but I don't think they're using it to eat. I don't know what they're going to lather up with it, but who knows? Next week, guys, we did another video, and I'm putting it together. We're actually went and we freeze dried raw eggs. So next week, I'm going to show you the video of the freeze drying of the raw egg process. And then actually we tested them today after that. So we'll do the freeze dried raw eggs next week. And I'll make sure the following day, guys, I put that on social media also. But that was good stuff. Griff said he just ate a bunch of crab legs today. Yeah, it's sealed. It doesn't matter, Kelly, if there's diesel fumes and gas fumes. It's all sealed. Not on me.
Yeah, there were a couple other preps that came in. I think he popped up like during the video, but
yeah, you can. Okay, I'll pump them. But yeah, Larry, you can do that. You can water bath tomato sauce and marinara sauce and let it air cool, basically because that's a high acid, right? So you don't have to necessarily pressure can it. Now, if you were going to do like a bolognese with any type of protein in it, you would have to pressure can it. But if you do a high acid thing like tomato sauce, you don't have to pressure can it per se. Let's go back to the pinned ones here. Yep, I will send that. Do ladies
And
hire out and do
Joanna.
promo on. I've got a couple models that I found at the Ormond Beach that I'll send your way, Nick. That I still hear about that, by the way.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
And again, Patrick, I'll share it tomorrow. I promise. Good stuff. Well, Russ, we're guys, look, I hope you enjoyed the show. This is episode 3. I'm trying to bring a little more prepper type content as well as current events and political stuff. Anybody that does prepper stuff and does not include what's going on in the world, what's going on in politics, I think is doing a disservice to the prepper community. So I know that I do a lot of news stuff, but unfortunately, 99% of the scenarios are going to be because of politics that we face. The shit hit the fan scenarios are going to be because of politics. So we have to share a little bit about that stuff and keep you guys up to date with what's going on in the world. Although most of you already know what's going on, but I don't know. Russ, lead us out, brother.
Well, guys, first of all, ladies, great video. I actually learned a lot. I'm sure that my lovely bride, who likes butter, she likes butter, a little bit of bread with her butter. I'm sure we're going to be doing that once we get home. Community, you can't stress it enough. Training, you can't stress it even more. Today, the world events that we have going on, we are our own first responders. We know this. So you got to be careful out there, folks. It is always. It's always better to be someone's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea. That's all I got, Pete.
Good job, Russ. Miss Melissa said something cool here. If you film yourself doing some type of prep and want to be included, by all means, send it to me. I'll put together a little video. And I'm not saying I won't draw weird pictures slapping you in the forehead with the video, but I will certainly include that in the show. Absolutely. Guys, we learned a lot this week. We're going to try to, like I said, bring more type of prepper content and bring more guests on the show. But we're not going to stray away from what we started with, and that's political news, because that affects what we do in the prepper community, and a little bit of let's learn some stuff, right? But at the end of the day, guys, just be safe. If you can't be safe, be dangerous. Thanks for watching the Eden Army Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, be safe.